Hello everyone and welcome to another World of Warcraft guide video. In today's video, I will be showing you how to solo the first 3 encounters in the Sanctum of Domination raid on Mythic difficulty, which was added in the Shadowlands expansion. The primary reason to do this is to get an extra chance at the mount that drops from the 9 encounter, the Sanctum Gloomcharger's Reigns. Now when I say extra chance, I mean that this is not a Mythic only mount. It can still be obtained on all difficulties, including LFR. What this means is, you get 4 chances per character per week to get this mount. This video will focus solely on the Mythic encounters and how to defeat them. If you can do this, then you can easily do the difficulties below it. For Mythic, I'm going to recommend at least a 500 item level character with best in slot gear. This includes trinkets and set bonuses. The bosses on Mythic are not a pushover, as they have significant health pools, and you will need to do some mechanics to be able to correctly defeat them. It should be noted, these encounters are being done by my Red Paladin, and some classes may not be able to defeat these bosses on Mythic, as it depends on their utility capacity to overcome mechanics. I'll explain as I go over each encounter, which takes me to the first encounter, the Tarragrue. Now before you can even attempt this boss, you need to go around the platform and kill the 4 adds called Infused Goliath. These enemies when slain will drop an anima orb, just like the ones in the Torghast towers, that require you to choose an anima power. You can only get 4, and you are looking for one specific power to make this possible, the Ever-Beating Heart. The Ever-Beating Heart gives you stun immunity, making the Tarragrue encounter possible. Do not attempt the fight without it, you will get perma-stunned and die. Now if you get all 4 powers and you do not get the stun immunity buff, you can reset the powers around each entrance to the boss encounter platform. Just click on the anima siphon and select the option, Remove your anima powers. When your powers are removed, the orbs that you previously got will respawn at each Goliath's location. Rinse and repeat this until you have gotten your stun immunity. The other powers you got aren't as important, but if you can manage to get the power that gives you 40% damage increase, it will make it much easier to solo. Now that you have your stun immunity, you can start the encounter. When you begin the encounter, there isn't much to know until he casts Hungering Mist. When the boss casts this, you need to walk to the areas on the floor that are lit up to avoid the massive damage he will inflict. After this ends, a new mechanic begins called Remnants. You are supposed to soak these, but I actually found it easier to just ignore them entirely. It does make the Tarragrue stronger the longer you avoid, but I found myself more successful when I ignore them entirely. Continue to dodge the Hungering Mist and DPS the boss down to 10% HP. At this point, he will knock you back and become enraged, dealing 500% increased damage. Now I will be honest, you can't really tank this, you are meant to kite him. This is why I said at the beginning, some classes might struggle here. You need some kind of movement speed or immunity, or both, to be able to get through this part. As you can see here, I had Divine Steed charges and an immunity to get through this. Avoid being hit by him at all costs. Use your speed boost, your immunities, and DPS the final 10% down to defeat this big guy. The next encounter you will be doing is the Eye of the Jailer. When the encounter begins, you will do the first ability called Fracture Soul. This is a big blue swirly on the ground. Make sure to dodge it consistently, and you'll be fine. The next mechanic you will see is by far the most difficult, and it is from an ad he spawns called the Stygian Abductor. You will notice a similar ad in the trash leading up to this fight. However, the difference is you cannot target her to kill her until you snap her dragging chains. This mechanic seemed kinda buggy to me. I found when I ran out she didn't do it most of the time, but you do need to pay attention here. If and when she lands the ability, she will forcefully pull you toward the cliff, and you will die unless you have some kind of serious movement speed buff or a way to break it. Check your class abilities to see if this is possible. A lot of things will work. I use Divine Steed here, although as you can see the timing is pretty tight on pulling it off. I know that Blink works, also abilities that will propel you forward, as well as anything that breaks movement impairments. Once you break her chain, she will jump on the platform where you can take care of her. At 66 and 33% HP, He will fly away immune, and you'll have to do an intermission. All you need to do here is defeat 2 adds that spawn. They get stronger if stacked, but it's fairly manageable with the health pool of 1 million plus that you should have. The eye laser ability he does tickles, but he won't kill you. You can either run through it, or use the extra action button at the end of either platform to jump across and avoid it entirely. The rest of the encounter is pretty much the same. It's just a repeat of all the mechanics mentioned. The main thing is handling the dragging chains. If you can handle this mechanic, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, and the boss will fall over fairly easily. The final encounter I will be explaining is the 9. This is actually the easiest of the 3 encounters. When you start the encounter, you will target Signy first, since she has the least HP, and taking out a boss early makes it even easier. The first mechanic you need to avoid is Fragments of Destiny. This is more of an annoyance than anything. If you don't move out of it quickly, you get slowed pretty significantly. You will periodically see an ad called Formless Mass. I honestly never bothered to see what they would do, because they were so easy to kill. Just kill these ads each time they spawn to be safe. The next mechanic you will see frequently is Agatha's Eternal Blade. She will do an emote saying "fall before my blades" and proceed to slice the platform randomly. Just pay attention to the lines on the ground and avoid these at all costs. Once Signy falls, move on to Kira. Kira will do an ability called Wings of Rage. You just need to move out of it as it pulls you toward her. Keep DPS on Kira until you see the next ability called Aradne's Falling Strike. You will see purple orbs around the room. Being that you are doing this solo, there is nothing you can do about them other than soaking one. Just know when the ability expires, you will take significant damage. Prepare for this, as it will damage you for about 40% of your HP. Sometime in the fight, you will notice a giant bubble on the platform. Don't leave the boss in this, as it reduces their damage taken by 99%. Move them out, and continue DPS. Now when your boss mod tells you to find shelter, you need to move into the area where Signy is, or you will get a 5-second fear. And I forgot to do this mechanic, but I just bubbled the fear off. I don't think getting feared is going to wipe you though, as it's just about 5 seconds. At this point you should be on Skyja alone, and your victory is within reach. You have seen basically all of the mechanics, learn them, and avoid them, and this boss will fall over pretty quickly. And that's it! Learning this on Mythic is tough, but it gives you an additional weekly chance for the mount. If you do all difficulties, you can attempt this 4 times a week per character, on Normal, Heroic, Mythic, and LFR. Speaking of LFR, if you're interested in doing this on LFR, the Q NPC is in Orbos, near the Necrolord Covenant. Talk to him, and select the option, the Jailer's Vanguard. Good luck on getting your mount, and I'll see you in the next one. If you've enjoyed this video, please give this video a like and click on subscribe. Your support makes doing videos like these possible, and I could not do it without each and every one of you. Thanks guys.